Hey, welcome everyone. We're starting another podcast, another episode of the Business Blind Spots Exposed podcast today. And we've got a really interesting discussion ahead of us. I think there's a lot of stuff I'm probably going to learn throughout the course of this. But I wanted to kind of start first with a little bit about what is the whole Business Blind Spots podcast? What is it all about? For me, I'll tell you from a personal point of view, I have banged into walls. I've gotten smacked in the face with stuff I could have seen, but I never did see. I just never saw it coming. And I felt like an idiot. Well, those were my blind spots. And over time, I just started getting a little smarter and realizing, well, instead of having these blind spots, maybe I should start figuring out what these blind spots are. And I started finding these blind spots through others. They started saying, hey, Vinay, this is what's going to happen next. Huh. And I stopped getting smacked in the face more often. And what I really ended up realizing after all that is this idea that your blind spots in your company are things that you can see already. You just got to be able to look at the data that starts to show you that. And the conversation we're going to have today is a little bit about that and how you can start to see some of those blind spots. We've got some really exciting guests. We've got executive coaches coming up next week. We've got people talking about sales and how to build better sales organizations, all blind spots that we all have. So I'd encourage you to tune in for those future events. But today we've got Rich Camacho from Blue Recruit. Rich, how's the day going for you so far?
Not bad. It's a little wet outside, but when you were saying that, I gotta say, I think my biggest blind spot in life ever was, I think, my junior year of college. I was on the Army lacrosse team. I was about to shoot a goal, and I did not see two massive defenders coming in different directions. 3.5 minutes later, I woke up still on the field. I did not score the goal.
Well,
different kind of a blind spot, but still, it'll get you.
I didn't know you played lacrosse. I did too, and I've gotten my clock cleaned a couple of times from someone just outside of the helmet.
I had no idea who the president of the United States was at the time for about the rest of the day.
Well, I'm excited about this topic because, look, the way I tell people is we're all in the people business, and that's the end of the story. It doesn't matter whether you're in plumbing, electrical, tech, or whatever. We're all in the people business because people are who buy. Yep. So getting good people and then retaining good people are the two biggest things I think any company can excel at. And the reason I'm excited is about the opportunity to talk to you about some of the things that you found in your journey in bringing the right people on board. So tell me, maybe let's start, tell me a little more about the journey. I mean, I read your bio and kind of how you were in the Army and kind of your whole journey there. I'd love to hear it from you in your own words, kind of how that journey started.
Yeah. So after the military, I was flying Black Hawk helicopters for a while. I then got out and I was working for a talent agency that specified in helping veterans that were leaving the service enter corporate America. And, it was awesome because it made for a real natural transition for me. Learned how to do sales. What I kept running into was, let's take a construction company, for example. Construction company's like, hey, thanks so much for helping us get this project manager. We also need 20 welders. Can you help us out? And I had no idea where to find folks like that. So one thing led to another. Eventually, my father-in-law, who's been an auto body painter his whole life, he called me up and he's like, Rich, help me. I don't know what I did wrong. And he's like, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I'm trying to hire an auto body painter for one of my shops. And I just, I went to Indeed, wrote a job post, and I just got 80 resumes for house painters. He's like, what did I do wrong? And I was like, I got thinking, I was like, well, you did nothing wrong. You Indeed ran a keyword search and it sent you everybody with painter and $20 an hour in the West Palm Beach area. And that's where, our journey with Blue Recruit started. And it all kind of comes back to data, because ultimately that's what came and bit Joe was bad data.
Yeah. And we've got a couple people have chimed in here. David Dickey from says, thank you for your service from a fellow vet, Rich. David's good people, and maybe I need to connect the two of you guys afterwards. I think there's probably a good conversation there. And Matthew Armstrong, thanks. Hey, yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen you. Good to see you, Matt. And throughout the course of this, I encourage anyone who's listening in, please chime in, ask questions. I'm sure Rich would love to kind of yield some insights in the way he sees it. So let's talk about that scenario there. got lots of got lots of resumes in, doing a keyword search. I mean, I feel like Monster kind of a long time ago, that's kind of where they started. That's that's not enough these days, right? Just the keyword search. It's more than that, right?
It really is. Like I think most, especially right now with COVID, with the incredible unemployment that it brought on. Thankfully, we're slowly chugging our way out of that. But right now, the average company, they're getting over 250 resumes per open job. So it's not hard to put a job out there and get a whole bunch of applicants. But that doesn't help anybody. Like one of my favorite sales techniques is I go on to Indeed and I apply for a job at Duke Hospital as a general surgeon. I'm sorry, Duke, you're actually paying about $1.50 every time I do this, but it's your fault. Like I should not be like doing surgery on anybody. But it just shows that if we don't have good ways to manage data, just getting a bunch of it doesn't help anybody. And every business, regardless of what you're in, whether you're in talent or you're building widgets, you need a way to not just gather data, but then do something productive with it.
So all right. So let's say you're Duke in this case. You've put this job rec out there for a general surgeon, right? And you've got Rich Camacho, who just read general surgery for dummies.
By the way, they've never called me back for an interview.
I think that's a good thing, right? So you've just read general surgery for dummies. You applied for this. You're using all the keywords, right? So you kind of fit into the search. How does Duke do a better job of sifting through all that? I mean, I will tell you, keywords is what I've been trained to do. It's like the 3,000-mile oil change from Jiffy Lube. That's what I know. So how do you take it to that next level as the organization that wants to find people?
Yeah. So what we did, and it went back to Joe, my father-in-law. It was, okay, auto body painter and house painter, like both roles that require certain skill sets, certain experiences, even in certain situations, certain certifications. So why don't we focus on those things to start with? So what we did at Blue Recruit was, and this took months, for every single channel or industry that we help our clients with, we actually identified every certification, every license, every skill set, every experience that someone can possibly have for one of those roles. So we actually completely got rid of resumes, completely got rid of job posts, and job seekers go onto our site. Rather than spending an average of 6 to 8 hours to write a resume, they can create a Blue Recruit profile highlighting their particular skill sets in less than 5 minutes. And then on the flip side, employers, rather than writing job posts and again, waiting for those keyword resumes, they say, hey, we're looking for A, B, and C in this location. We're paying this much money. And because the data is clean, it then makes a perfect match. It says, hey, contact these 10 people. You can connect to them right here.
So I've got Stephen Johnson on here. Says the challenge is getting good data and then knowing how to use it. And I think that's part of what you're saying, right? Instead of them going through this somewhat of the circuitous route of just writing a resume, which really kind of doesn't separate the wheat from the chaff anyway, get them to just directly match skill sets. But all right, so I'm going to push back a little bit here, right? Here's the problem with data sometimes is you just say, check these boxes and that's the only measuring stick, but that's still not the whole story. Mm-hmm. Does that have that adverse effect where you're just saying, hey, if you don't fit this measuring stick, I don't even want to talk to you?
You're absolutely right. And oftentimes, one problem that I have is when you're looking at, say, a job description, and you look at, hey, these 10 skill sets for the ideal candidate. I seriously doubt 99% of the population out there is ever going to hit all 10 of those.